Tonight, Justin Trudeau and 5 undecided voters.
Face to face, right here in the National Studio.
I just want to ask you what you're going to do to help us.
The Liberal leader on what Canadian families need and those images.
Is that my Prime Minister?
Rosemary hosts a special television event.
Also tonight, accusations of treason, spying, and the specter of civil war. Donald Trump lashes out.
Forever 21 closes up shop in Canada. What it means for fast fashion.
And a Canadian detained in Hong Kong.
I am just standing in front of the riot police of Hong Kong.
We get his story moments after he's released. This is The National.
As we hit the midpoint of this federal election campaign, we are doing something a little different this week.
We're helping voters put the questions that matter most to them directly to the federal party leaders in person. And today, that was Liberal leader Justin Trudeau, who is fighting to keep his job for another 4 years. He's the first to go face-to-face with our voters in studio. And face-to-face with you too, Rosie. I guess there's some pretty broad, at times pointed conversations.
Yeah, it was in front of a studio audience of undecided voters too. That's why you see all these chairs behind me. 5 of them asked their questions of the federal leaders. And as the Liberal leader found out, they spoke their minds. Canadians from across the country were chosen to ask Justin Trudeau questions about their own lives and how a Liberal government would help them. Trudeau knew only the broad topics and little else.
I do have some concerns about...
Listra Sam, an entrepreneur from Vancouver, zeroed in on affordability. Can she ever make enough money to buy a house in Canada's most expensive city?
Who can make $1 million in 1 year? Like, even in many years of having a business, who can make $1 million?
We heard this challenge from Canadians right across the country. So we introduced something called the First-Time Home Buyers Incentive.
Trudeau's record was also under scrutiny, including trade deals that have opened access to Canada's dairy market.
Monsieur Trudeau, thank you for having me.
Manitoba dairy farmer Alain Philippot says that's left his family business in need of help.
Are you going to pay direct payments to the farmers, or is it going to be some other lottery program?
I heard that criticism of previous compensations. We're going to make sure that on the CPTPP one and on the NAFTA one, we get that right.
We are a pluralistic society.
Trudeau was also confronted by Inara Hasmani from Toronto about those images from the past of him in black and brown face.
What are some personal actions that you'll be taking?
I know that I am going to have to continue to fight even more than ever before for inclusion. Diversity is a fact, yes. Inclusion is a choice.
So that's just a little bit of how things went. You'll see much more in just a little bit later in the show. For now, though, let's turn to the campaign trail today. Both Justin Trudeau and Andrew Scheer stumped in or around Toronto. Both made reference to provincial politicians. David Cochrane explains why.
Yesterday he made his pitch, today he played his wedge. With the platform out, Justin Trudeau pivoted back to guns.
The choice for Canadians is crystal clear. Liberals will strengthen gun control. Conservatives will weaken gun control.
To amplify his message, a town hall with doctors who have treated shooting victims.
I ask all of our elected officials to understand that harm, injury, and death from guns is a preventable public health crisis, and that legislative action is necessary.
Gun violence is a key issue in the big city ridings and in the battleground seats that form a ring around Toronto that may very well decide this election. Another factor in the 905s is Premier Doug Ford, and it was anger over Ford's changes to autism services that brought parents to Andrew Scheer's event in Whitby.
They decimated the Ontario Autism Program, and they've denied needs-based therapy to tens of thousands of autistic children in Ontario.
I won't be voting for Andrew Scheer just because of Doug Ford and what he's done to my family.
Feeling the heat, Scheer made a pivot of his own in this Ontario-focused campaign by proxy, invoking the name of the Liberal Premier Doug Ford defeated.
Kathleen Wynne left Ontario in near ruins, and Justin Trudeau is doing the same thing to Canada. We cannot let that happen.
The Ford fallout is an issue the Conservatives can't control, but it's definitely one they need to manage. Of course, neither Doug Ford nor Kathleen Wynne are on the ballot in this election, but the parties want to make sure they are at least on the minds of Ontario voters. David Cochrane, CBC News, Ottawa.
Tomorrow, Andrew Scheer goes face-to-face with voters here on The National, but tonight, Justin Trudeau's turn. You'll see that in about 15 minutes, Andrew.
Sounds good. Quebec owes an apology to Indigenous people, according to a provincial inquiry. A new report says they face systemic discrimination from the justice system and when accessing social services. Now, that public apology is number one of 142 calls to action in today's report. Others include extending the time limit for filing police ethics complaints and improving Indigenous language and translation services. Yet, as Alison Northcott tells us, some say the report has missed the mark.
After 38 weeks of testimony from more than 1,000 people, Commissioner Jacques Vien says one thing is clear. It seems impossible, he says, to deny that members of the First Nations and Inuit are victims of discrimination in their relations with public services. Vien's report comes 4 years after Radio-Canada's investigative program Enquête revealed allegations of physical and sexual abuse of Indigenous women by Quebec provincial police officers in Val-d'Or. The allegations included so-called starlight tours, where police drove people out of town and left them. There was a police investigation, but none of the Val-d'Or officers were charged. The Commission's mandate was broad, to look at the relationship between Indigenous people and some public services.
Well, myself, I deal with almost daily racism.
Viviane Michel with Quebec Native Women says she's disappointed the report doesn't include measures to ensure Indigenous women like the ones who came forward in Val-d'Or will be protected. Still, she and other Indigenous leaders say they recognize the Commission's work and hope something real will come of it.
I think people are done with apologies. What they need is concrete action.
Overall of it, at Val-d'Or's Native Friendship Centre, Edith Cloutier has worked with the women whose stories led to the Commission.
There is no clear recommendation around the Sûreté du Québec in the harm done to Indigenous people. It's like the Commission overshadowed what was the heart of its mandate.
Quebec Provincial Police didn't comment on the report. The Quebec government says it will study it. And in the meantime, the Premier has invited Indigenous leaders to the legislature later this week. Alison Northcott, CBC News, Val-d'Or, Quebec.
A call from the Truth and Reconciliation Commission was answered today, remembering the thousands who died in residential schools.
Canada will never be the same now that these names are known. These children call upon us to take action to stop the harm inflicted through present-day systems.
On a banner nearly 50 meters long, the names of 2,800 children who have been identified. The Commission will continue to unearth the names of others who died.
Overseas now, where it's already a very important Tuesday in China, when the People's Republic marks its 70th birthday. But while most of the country is poised to celebrate, Hong Kong is braced for defiance and danger. As Sasha Petrusek shows us, police tactics now have a sharper edge.
The front line in Hong Kong's protests has become a pretty dangerous place. The protesters anxious and angry. The police increasingly aggressive, ready to arrest.
Hong Kong police is seeing us or other protesters or even other citizens as their enemies.
They grabbed Chris Young yesterday. He's a Canadian who spent his teens in Vancouver, his adult life in Hong Kong. And last night, he spent chained to a hospital bed after a heavy-handed arrest. He was released on bail right before this interview, with bruises and pictures to show for it.
Okay, that is me.
Young was protesting dressed as U.S. President Donald Trump, a symbol for him of Western democracy.
I am just standing in front of the riot police of Hong Kong. The riot police suddenly assault and just pushed me down on the ground and beat me up about a minute, and I might be lost my conscience for a few seconds, and then I was arrested.
Carried off for being at an unlawful assembly. Young's been protesting at these rallies since they started in June.
Of course, my teenage years in Canada have established my views to liberty and freedom. I'm living in a free society.
He's joined mass marches demanding more freedom and an inquiry into police brutality and against Chinese intervention in Hong Kong. And he'll be back out at rallies called for Tuesday, China's national holiday, ready to insult Beijing and possibly get arrested again. Police have declared them illegal, but no one expects these demonstrations to stop. Sasha Petrusik, CBC News, Hong Kong.
The impeachment scandal that threatens to engulf the Trump presidency just got more complicated. As Paul Hunter tells us, Trump's phone call with Ukraine's leader may not have been the only time he looked beyond U.S. borders for political help.
And it's a disgrace. This whole thing is a disgrace.
That said, Donald Trump today also made a more ominous point.
Well, we're trying to find out about a whistleblower. When you have a whistleblower that reports things that were incorrect.
Signaling he wants to know who started it, the impeachment process that could end his presidency. The whistleblower who came forward with word of a phone call and more between Trump and Ukraine's president, with Trump seeming to press him to find dirt on Trump rival Joe Biden. Says Trump, there was nothing wrong with that call.
It was perfect.
But the impeachment inquiry is moving quickly, with developments today aplenty. Trump lawyer Rudy Giuliani was subpoenaed for documents. There's a report Secretary of State Mike Pompeo was listening in on that call with Ukraine. Another report says Trump also sought help from Australia's Prime Minister to discredit the Mueller investigation. And another report that Attorney General Bill Barr also sought foreign help from the UK and Italy to try to discredit U.S. intelligence findings on Russian interference in the 2016 election won by Trump. And as Democrats, meanwhile, work toward testimony from the whistleblower, a letter this weekend from the whistleblower's lawyers with serious concerns over their client's safety, including sobering talk of a $50,000 bounty for any information that could identify their client publicly. For their client and any others thinking of coming forward, say the lawyers, their expectation now is things will only get worse and more dangerous. Paul Hunter, CBC News, Washington.
University of Toronto students are demanding better access to mental health counseling to address suicide on campus. There have been 8 deaths over the last 3 years, and the latest one just last week. Joanna Remiliotis was there as the students made their case.
In all the tributes, shock and disbelief and anger too.
It's infuriating, it's disappointing. I don't think I can really express all the multitude of emotions that every one of us are feeling right now.
In the last 16 months, 3 students have died in this building, the latest on Friday.
It's been a pressure cooker of first year, second years, people who are barely 17 and barely old enough to drink, who are having to make huge life choices, who are having to sacrifice sleep and mental health in order to perform.
Pressure to perform, a lack of mental health support, students say, prompted this. A group of students stormed a university fair this weekend with a dire message.
6 to 8. The number of months many U of T students have waited to access urgently needed counseling.
That was just the latest action. Earlier this year, students held a sit-in at the president's office.
Our key demands are counseling and accessibility services and other essential supports for students need to match the need that is being demonstrated.
The university says that in response to an exploding need, it has spent $3 million in the last 2 years boosting counseling services. Some were on hand today.
We've also, starting this fall, brought in same-day counseling for students who arrive expressing extreme need or crisis.
And over the weekend, the school erected physical barriers.
We all wish we had done this sooner, but we are focusing on longer-term solutions.
Until then, some students here say they'll work to hold the school to that promise. Joanna Remiliotis, CBC News, Toronto.
And we are following several other stories tonight. Vaping giant Juul is now facing a lawsuit in BC. 2 plaintiffs say they've developed health problems. They accuse Juul of targeting minors and misleading consumers by claiming its products are safer than smoking. Juul Canada says it is reviewing the lawsuit. The allegations have not been tested in court.
It was not a question of exclusion of Margaret Atwood, but inclusion of these books.
And the short list for Canada's Giller Prize does not include Margaret Atwood's global bestseller, The Testament. It's worth noting since her sequel to The Handmaid's Tale is in the running for the International Booker Prize. 2 of the 6 Giller nominees are first-time novelists.
Another fast fashion retailer is leaving Canada. Forever 21 is closing its 44 Canadian stores. As Diane Buckner explains, on top of other business reasons, the company may have just misjudged millennials.
Everything must go. The liquidation sale at Forever 21 started today. So-called fast fashion was supposed to be a foolproof recipe for success. Trendy styles moving quickly from the runway or red carpet to young shoppers with big style ambitions but little money. Competitors H&M and Zara followed the same recipe.
The quality wasn't that great, so I found I could wear the t-shirt a couple times, but then after that I couldn't wear it as long. Forever 21's primarily, you don't get a ton of wearers out of their clothes.
Forever 21 says it expanded too quickly. We went from 7 countries to 47 countries within a less than 6-year time frame, says an executive, adding that sales are shifting more to online.
This was a Forever 21 location here on Toronto's Yonge Street. It closed months ago. It turns out a lot of young people are turning away from fast fashion altogether, realizing that cheaply made, disposable clothing is bad for the environment.
I know H&M has had their struggles too.
This retail specialist says younger millennials in particular are choosy.
They look at every brand and every product in terms of what is the imprint on society, but also the imprint on the environment.
I mean, fast fashion is always going to fail. I think it's high time that businesses and fashion brands are held accountable for their impact on the environment.
Forever 21 is trying to keep some stores open in the U.S. and will continue to sell online. As for exactly when it will close the stores in Canada, no word yet, but the liquidation sale clearly won't go on forever. Diane Buckner, CBC News, Toronto.
Okay, time now for a quick break.
Rosie's next with special coverage you'll see only on The National.
Justin Trudeau goes face-to-face with undecided voters. We brought them together here in this studio so they could put their questions directly to the Liberal leader.
Everything is scary in Alberta right now. We just want to be able to get up in the morning, put our boots on, and go to work.
We don't trust not only you, but ourselves. Canada took away our humanity.
Mr. Trump was negotiating hard for his dairy farmers, and we had to push back.
And we got thrown under the bus.
And I know you're an accepting person, but when pictures come out with like brown face and stuff like that, right? Is that my prime minister that's representing Canada out there?
I want to contribute to the economy of Canada. I feel like I either have to give up my dream or give up the Canadian dream, and I don't think that I should have to do that.
Face-to-face with Justin Trudeau right after the break. Welcome to the National Studio here in Toronto. Tonight, we are doing something a little bit different. We promised that this election would be about you, your questions, your concerns. So we are giving most of our interview time with the federal leaders over to you, the voters. Welcome to Face with the federal leaders. I'm Rosemary Barton. Our studio tonight full of undecided voters looking for some answers. And we've invited 5 Canadians from across the country to speak one-on-one with the federal leaders. So we begin tonight with Liberal leader Justin Trudeau. Welcome. Thanks for doing this.
Thank you.
Good to see you. And to be transparent, we just gave you the first name of our lovely undecideds, their hometown general topic, but nothing more. You know me a little bit, so you'll know how that's going to go. We've asked all of our 5 lovely undecideds here to give us a quick intro that they shot themselves, so we get a sense of who they are. So we will start the clock and get to work. Here we go.
Hi, my name is Lister Sam, and I live in Vancouver, BC, on unceded Coast Salish territory. I am an entrepreneur. I have a beautiful business that I absolutely adore and am super passionate about. With the upcoming elections, one of my main concerns is home ownership. I've lived in Vancouver for 10 years now, and it's always been a little bit of an insecurity with me whether or not I even want to own a home here because of the price of housing. But now that I'm an entrepreneur, it becomes an even bigger issue because I think, who wants to give me a mortgage? So it's a big concern.
Okay, Listra, over to you.
Hello. Hello, Listra.
I'm a little nervous. I'm going to say that right off the top because I don't do this every day. You do. I do have some concerns about becoming a homeowner in Canada. As an entrepreneur and as a single person who also doesn't have any children, I feel like I'm in a demographic that really goes under the radar. Nobody ever sees me. And the biggest concern I have is home ownership. And I've been reading some reports, and I've read a report that tells me that in order for me to become a homeowner, I would have to make $1 million in order to buy a home, to have somebody, trust me enough with a mortgage.
Now, you live in Vancouver, and you don't own your home right now. We heard this challenge from Canadians right across the country. So we introduced something called the First-Time Home Buyers Incentive, which actually gives you up to 10% off on the purchase of your first home, which is basically a no fee, no interest mortgage payment that will reduce your own monthly mortgage payments by hundreds of dollars a month. Now, we brought it in across the country, and we heard very clearly that the GTA, that Greater Vancouver, and even Victoria, the housing prices are just out of reach even on that one.
Yeah.
So we've actually increased it further. So homes worth up to $800,000 now qualify for that. And that's going to give a significant boost. We know it's not, going to help everyone as much as it can,
not gonna help
but
me.
it's going to make a big difference.
It's not going to help me at all. And I mean, I hear these numbers, and I can sit down and I can crunch numbers. I'm not a mathematician, but I still sit here and say, but still, how do I make that money? Like legally, in my business, how do I make that money? Like we've got a lot of homes in Vancouver sitting there with no one in them. We have a lot of foreign investors, and I know you guys have done this, the home tax, I think empty home tax. But I don't think that's done anything. Like there's still a lot of empty homes, and it becomes a bigger issue because it becomes something that is about community. It's about family. Like literally the only reason I stay in Vancouver is because that's where my family is. It's where my community is that I've grown over the last 10 years. I could take my business and I could move back to the Caribbean, and I could take, a very small amount of money, a lot smaller than $500,000 to $1 million, and buy property and have a home, and I could give jobs to people outside. I want to contribute to the economy of Canada. I'm a Canadian citizen. I grew up here, and that feels good to me. But this issue of what it costs, like I feel like I either have to give up my dream or give up the Canadian dream. And I don't think that I should have to do that.
And I absolutely agree. You shouldn't. We want you to succeed in Canada. We want you to keep building and creating jobs and succeeding. But there is no one magic bullet that's going to save everything. So the First-Time Home Buyers Initiative is going to help a lot of people. Maybe not you, but maybe others. I think it actually could help you as well. Other things we're going to do, we're investing in entrepreneurs. We're looking at specific women entrepreneurs, racialized entrepreneurs, the communities that face greater barriers are going to be responded to in an initiative we have that is $50,000 of startup capital for 2,000 different entrepreneurs a year that people can qualify for.
And that's for new businesses, right?
That's for new businesses.
And it's for new entrepreneurs, none of which I fit into, but I hear what you're saying, but that...
I love watching Listra's face as Mr. Trudeau answers. Okay, Listra's turn is over. Let's get to our next voter. Watch this.
My name is Jessica Heron, and I live in Cold Lake, Alberta. I currently drive a school bus while I study criminal justice in hopes of becoming a future law enforcement officer. And I have 3 amazing children, one of whom will be eligible to vote in the next federal election. I feel it's important to teach her the value of questioning our political leaders, so she deserves to have answers that are given with honesty and integrity. And that is one of the issues that I'm having with not only the current campaign and election, but the previous ones as well.
All right, it's my new friend, Jessica.
Hi.
Good luck.
Nice to meet you.
Pleasure to see you.
So I'm from Cold Lake, Alberta. And not only the last 4 years that you've held office, but for probably the last 5 or 6 years, we've been in turmoil. Our lives have been up in the air. In the last 5 years, my husband has been searching for a job 5 different times. He just got laid off again last month.
I'm sorry.
So the question is, like, what do you plan to do to help Albertans? Because at a peak, our numbers were at 150,000 unemployed that had lost their jobs because of the oil crash. And people don't know where their next paycheck is going to come from. We don't know if we're going to be able to put food on the table. We don't even know if we're going to have a table to put food on, essentially. And it's scary. Everything is scary in Alberta right now, and we just don't have any answers to go off of. Yeah. So I just want to ask you what you're going to do to help us. Like, what are you going to do to help me in my situation?
Well, I mean, the first thing to recognize is Alberta has been a contributor to Canada's economy for so many decades now. You have been a tremendous benefit to Canada with your hard work, with your innovation. And over the past, as you said, 6-7 years, it's been really tough for Alberta as oil prices crashed and there were real transformations in people who had never been short of work, had always been able to contribute and put food on the table for their family. Suddenly being in this position is really scary and destabilizing. Right. And that's one of the reasons why, I mean, what Canadians do is we're there for each other. So we made massive investments. We made changes to EI. We made changes that would help out in Alberta. But we recognize that the one thing you really need most is to be able to get our oil resources to new markets so we're not prisoners of the United States. Right now, well, over the past 10 years, the U.S. went from being one of our biggest customers in terms of oil to a big competitor in terms of energy. So we need to find new markets because we were getting a massive discount on our oils that you know very much was squeezing your families. Right. So we recognized that in the 21st century, you can't actually get new pipeline projects built unless you are taking care of the environment and creating partnership with Indigenous peoples. And we've moved forward on those two things to give better predictability, get better social acceptability, and to get our resources to new markets in responsible ways. The shovels are in the ground as we speak on the Trans Mountain Pipeline expansion. There's a lot of people across the country who don't understand why it is so important to get our oil to markets other than the United States. And we are going to be investing the profits from that in the transition towards cleaner energy and fighting climate change that I know your kids are really going to need in the coming decades. Right. But we need to support you, your family, and Albertans through this very difficult time. And that's very much what we've tried to do.
But do you see Jessica's kids working in the oil and gas sector? I mean, Jessica,
do you see your kids working?
I mean, but do you? Is it fair to say that's a dying industry because it has to be?
No, I think there will always be a need for oil and gas in certain uses over the coming decades, if not the coming century. But the mix we have towards more renewables, towards cleaner tech will also, and the efficiencies also will come in and transform those jobs so that they are actually usually more scientific, more research-oriented, more less driving trucks and operating heavy machinery, and more innovation, more lab, more higher motor skills. Your kids are going to get great educations. They're going to be able to contribute in much greater ways than generations past were.
When we come back,
Mr. Trump was negotiating hard for his dairy farmers, and we had to push back.
And also, we got thrown under the bus.
By Mr. Trudeau.
Well, we're the ones that took it for the country.
More Face to Face with Justin Trudeau next on The National. Welcome back to Face with Justin Trudeau. Let's get to our next questioner.
Hi, my name is Spirit River Striped Wolf, and I'm from the Beginning First Nation. I currently attend Mount Royal University here in Calgary, Alberta. Growing up on the reserve was an amazing experience, even though there is a lot of issues in my community. Home is there, and I'm very proud to be Indigenous. I'm concerned that we aren't approaching Indigenous issues in Canada appropriately. My parents and grandparents were taught how to hate themselves in the residential schools. The residential schools disempowered the way in which we trust ourselves and others. The residential schools are a radical policy, and my concern is that we need radical policy today.
All right, Spirit, your turn.
So I'm just gonna get straight into it. I think that, my people are still struggling with addictions. My people are homeless in their own lands. There are youth in my community that are going to trains and committing suicide. My people are dying. And I see Canada as kind of the cause for this in the form of that, we were never like this traditionally. Through the residential schools, we were taught how to hate ourselves, how to, view ourselves as worthless and no good. And as a result of that, we don't trust not only you, but ourselves, our families, our communities. Canada took away our humanity and attempts to solve these with money and promises of reconciliation. And what I truly want is to know, how can we unlearn what Canada has taught us, and what can your government do to facilitate that?
Listen, thank you. There is no way to sugarcoat it. Canada failed disastrously in the spirit and intent of the original relationships and the original treaties, which was supposed to be about shared stewardship, about partnership on this land that we were welcome, settlers were welcomed to by Indigenous peoples. The legacy of assimilation, of residential schools, the intergenerational trauma that remains is, I think, one of the greatest remaining challenges for Canada.
Policy, right?
Absolutely. What we need to do is undo that, and that's what reconciliation is all about. And there's two tracks on that. One is making sure that in terms of healthcare, in terms of education, in terms of drinking water, in terms of opportunities, you are beginning to get those in ways that make sense for you and that you get to drive as Indigenous peoples, but also that we change the nature of the relationship between Canada and Indigenous peoples to be more of a nation-to-nation relationship, much more respectful.
I would probably want to just add into that, like, my nation is in southern Alberta. We have good relationships, we have resources. I went to an amazing high school. I'm going to university right now. But even when I was in university even when I was in high school, there was peers of mine that would say, you can go to school, Spirit, I can't. There's this mentality, and for me, like, those things don't truly apply to my nation. And in a lot of ways, I would say I'm just as much First Nations as my chief in council. Those were systems that were implemented by Canada to assimilate us. And so I wonder what, like, you don't even have a strategy for suicide prevention. And, for these kind of things, those are great, but they don't really apply too much into my situation, where these things are still there. I personally think it has a lot to do with what we learned in the residential schools and cultural genocide and what that actually means, how we teach our children, how we raise our children.
Well, you probably know better than I do that language and culture and identity are building blocks of anyone's sense of self and anyone's ability. And that's why we move forward on historic language legislation that's going to allow people to learn and preserve Indigenous languages because they're so essential.
That takes time, though, and I think of the residential schools, which were radical policy. This is taking too long. I think we need something even more radical than what's going on, because youth are literally dying a week ago in my community. Like, it happens constantly.
And it is ongoing, and we've invested more in mental health, and we've invested more in hotlines and support lines.
But it's not a mental health issue.
It's not enough.
It's not a mental health issue.
It's an addictions issue. It's a poverty issue. It's a barriers issue. It's an identity issue. It's a discrimination issue. It's all these layers of things. And the one thing that I know is, as a federal government, we can't tell you what the answer is. We need to empower you to break down some of the terrible things we've done to you in the past and allow young leaders like you who are imagining those radical solutions to propose them, and we need to help create them, because what Ottawa broke, Ottawa can't fix.
Okay, Mr. Trudeau, Spirit, thank you very much. Let's move on.
Thank you, Spirit.
Hi, my name is Alain Philippot. I live in St. Claude, Manitoba. I'm 55 years old, and I've just celebrated 25 years of marriage with my wife, Michelle. Dairy farming has its own challenges. but government policy and politics can have a huge impact on our industry. Dairy farming is my passion, and I can hardly wait to start working on our next project together with my son. And I hope that we're able to move our farm forward and to advance it to a point where we can be as proud of the next generation as we were of the past.
All right, my fellow Manitoban, off you go.
C'est un honneur, Monsieur Trudeau. Thank you for having me.
Merci, Alain.
It's an honor to meet you. Our family's been farming in Manitoba since 1912. And I'm so proud to be a dairy farmer, and I've enjoyed this career so much. But in recent trade deals, the last one done by your government, we've given up market access to foreign countries. Now, my son is the 4th generation dairy farmer, and he's wanting to reinvest in the farm, and he needs stability. What is your government going to do when the next country, after Brexit talks or whatever, come in and ask for more market access?
As you say, we've negotiated 3 really big trade deals that did involve certain concessions on access. But at the same time, particularly on the NAFTA one, it was very clear Donald Trump wanted to get rid of our supply management system, and we were able to defend it.
But just so I'm clear, I know you defend supply management, and yet with every trade deal that you've negotiated, you've cracked open the door to allow more foreign cheese and dairy and poultry and whatnot. So you're saying that's over, that you will not have to compensate dairy farmers further. Is that because there's no trade deals left to have?
No,
or?
we're in the early stages of Mercosur with the east coast of South America. There are challenges around Brazil right now, so it's not necessarily moving forward. But we've already said from the get-go, no more dairy access. We're protecting our supply managed areas because, quite frankly, our farmers have given enough. And we are able to compensate them because we know that signing a NAFTA means secure jobs for Canadians. It's a good deal for everyone across the country. It allows us to give you the compensation that you need and that your son needs to be confident about the future. And once we ratify it, we will be bringing in that compensation.
What would you say to Alain about dealing with Donald Trump? And why you had to get to a place where you had to give him a little to get the rest?
Well, that was a very unconventional government we're dealing with in the White House right now. And I'd say
Alain's throwing you a lifeboat here. Don't let him go.
No, what I said was, Mr. Trump was negotiating hard for his dairy farmers, and we had to push back.
And I'll say we got thrown under the bus.
By Mr. Trudeau.
Well, we're the ones that took it for the country. And so, sometimes when a road goes through the neighborhood, someone's house gets bought out. But if you go through everybody's house, everybody has to be compensated, not just 1 in 5.
Yeah. But at the same time, Donald Trump wanted to get rid of supply management altogether, and we managed to keep supply management. And yes, there was a little more.
That's your job, Mr. Trudeau.
Oh, well, no, that's not every politician thinks we need to keep supply management.
No, but you said Liberals you want
were the ones
to,
who brought it in, and I did.
I'm holding him to account.
And we are making sure that we are going to be able to compensate Alain and his family to the full extent once the new NAFTA is ratified.
Time for a quick break, but up next.
When pictures come out with brown face and stuff like that, right? It kind of creates a question oh wow, is that my prime minister?
Face to Face with Justin Trudeau continues right after this. All right, it's time for our final voter. Here we go.
Hi, everybody. My name's Nara Asmani. I'm from Toronto, Ontario. My background lies in social entrepreneurship, international business, capital markets, as well as consulting. One of my biggest concerns is how my generation is known for advocating for climate change. Although I do think this is an important issue, but I think it's shadowing other issues that we really want to bring more attention to, like the job market and how competitive for us it is to get a job now. And right now, I'm undecided because I'm not too sure which party has my generation's best interests at heart. Thank you so much.
Okay, Nara.
Okay.
Off you go.
Yes, really glad to be here. So before I actually get into those issues, I like to kind of give background on myself. So I was raised in Toronto. My parents are both immigrants. My mom's from Pakistan, my dad's from India, so pretty Southeast Asian. I would say I love Canada mainly because like look around, right? Like everybody is so different here. Everybody's a different color, everybody has a different background. And what's great about Canada is that diversity exists, like we all know that. I think what makes us different is the acceptance portion of it. We are a pluralistic society. We make sure, like, you've been at the airports to like welcome refugees, right? You've been to different places of worship, and I know you're an accepting person. But when pictures come out with like brownface and stuff like that, right? It kind of creates like a question like, oh wow, is that my prime minister that's representing Canada out there? Something we really champion is pluralism. So seeing those pictures out there, first thing is, obviously I'm shocked, like, wow, okay. The second thing is, it's really upsetting to see that. Something that we're really great at, and our leader is not doing that anymore, right? So my question to you is, what are some personal actions that you'll be taking to make sure that we're still able to maintain this reputation, as well as on an international perspective, right? Like, we're known to be this pluralistic, inclusive society. What steps do you think Canada should be taking to make sure we're still maintaining this reputation?
We have been a government that has defended... We've been a government that has defended diversity, but the terrible choices I made many years ago have put not just a pall over that, but have directly hurt a lot of people who face discrimination every day, who thought of me as an ally, thought of me as a friend, as someone who was fighting for diversity. And I am, and I very much am in my life today, but I didn't understand how much pain I could cause.
I totally understand that, yeah.
And I know that I am going to have to continue to fight even more than ever before for inclusion. Diversity is a fact, yes. Inclusion is a choice. Exactly. And how we do that, how we make sure that we are going at things like systemic discrimination and unconscious bias, and me carrying the shame of having done that personally in a blind way and hurting people who trusted and supported me and believe in Canada as this beacon, is something that I'm going to have to work extra hard at over the coming years to demonstrate
Totally
actions.
understand that. And I think that that's great to hear, right? But what actions do you see yourself taking and Canada taking within the next couple of years?
We've doubled our funding for our anti-racism strategy, which will include systemic discrimination and unconscious bias training for government officials, for organizations. There are so many blind spots that I have, that other people have, that we need to get into, whether it's gender-based analysis, whether it's intersectionalities. We have to understand a lot more about the very real intolerance and discrimination that many people face, fighting anti-black racism, fighting Islamophobia, fighting anti-Semitism. These are things that we talk about. They're things that we need to actually do more on, and we will be doing more on.
It goes by quick.
Yeah, that is.
Thank you, Inara.
Thank you so much.
You heard their questions, his answers. Now it's time to hear what the undecided voters really thought. Their impressions right after this. At this point in the show, we'd normally bring you the moment, but tonight we're turning that space over to the voters who went face-to-face with Liberal leader Justin Trudeau today. We got their reaction to his answers.
That was interesting.
It felt like the best demonstration of democracy that I've ever felt in my entire life.
He's a really nice guy. He's very friendly.
How do I feel right now?
I think by having that interaction with Mr. Trudeau was great, because you're actually able to kind of see the person and the human behind that politician.
It was really unreal sitting across from the Prime Minister, but you needed to keep your head screwed on, because these are serious issues that he needs to know about and he needs to focus on.
I felt that my questions were received. I think he recognizes the importance and the urgency, but I still think we need a different perspective when it comes to Indigenous people.
I don't feel like I got my why. I feel like I heard the answers to a couple of other questions. I feel like it gave me an opportunity to listen more actively than I have been listening.
He was fairly knowledgeable. He knew what he was talking about. But some of them are not perfectly clear, but I am satisfied with the answers that I got.
I'm happy I was able to ask those questions. Looking at the actual answers, not so much. And I was definitely looking for something more actionable.
I feel heard, finally, which I think has been a key problem for a lot of Albertans for the last few years.
I think I'm closer to making my decision now than before, but I will probably be waiting for more answers from other candidates before I make a decision.
There you go. Thanks for joining us for this special edition of The National. You can watch the full conversation on CBC Gems, cbcnews.ca, and after your late local news on CBC Television. And a reminder, we are doing this all week. Tomorrow, Conservative leader Andrew Scheer goes face-to-face with undecided voters. Looking forward to that. We'll see you then. Have a good night.